Alrighty, oh the fun we have. Video take number 45. So, here's the humor for the day. I'm just hoping that somebody, somewhere in the world is going to look at the first 4 or 5 minutes of my video and he's going to say, that's exactly what I want to do and I know how to do that. I don't have to listen to you talk about it for 25 minutes. You're being too redundant. I've got the job already done and I didn't need a walkthrough. I'm just hoping just one person would get that out of this. But you know, in my defense, you just never know. You just can't anticipate what the viewer's skill level, for lack of better words, may be. So with that in mind, so we just popped those 2 LED wires out of there and we're gonna do a dry fit and see. There was 2 places I had to chew off the board. So we're going to screw this guy down. Oh, I forgot to put the standoff on it. Just beautiful. Alrighty. So, before I go on with what I had to chew off of it, I'm going to get to this part. Because I'm just really starting to get impatient at this point. You know, when you film something, it takes you about 12 times longer to do it. I don't know why that is. But that's the way it is with me. You know, if I didn't have to talk about this, I could have had this done this morning. So here's the old trick, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. This is the stupid stuff I do. So I put heatsink compound on the end of the screw that we're going to put in there, in case you're trying to figure out what the method to my madness is here. So we're going to set that board to the point at which it's about level, and then we're going to futz with this because we can't even get the hemostats in at that angle, because this is the stupid way I do stuff. Well, I don't know that it's stupid, but so we're just gonna stick that in, and it actually worked this time. Had I had to mess with it for 5 minutes, my impression would have been somewhere it shouldn't have been. Alright. Cameras and electronics just do not mix. So there we are. And for anyone that's trying to figure out what in the world I just did, I just put a mark up here where we have to drill our hole for the standoff. Because that's how I do stuff. I transfer stuff with heatsink compound. I've always done that crazy crap. So, enough of this. So we're going to drill our holes, mount this thing, and then I'll show you how to wire it up. Okay, here's a shot of the clearance you got to work with. I mean, this is really splitting hairs, getting this thing in there. So right there's our 440 nut, and right there's our pad. And we got probably 32 thousandths of an inch between the side of our nut and that path. And unfortunately, I just don't have a low profile nut or anything else I can put on here. And it's just going to have to be the way it is. It's absolutely safe, but it's just not really ideal. Just make sure you, when you tap this out up here for this 632, that you clean that stuff off good when you tap that, and just be careful that the filings don't fall down inside. I don't want to sound dumb or anything, but you know, that kind of stuff does happen. So there's our board mounted. So we are going to take our red and our orange, and we are going to cut them to about right there, and that's going to come over and hit our LED holes up here on 111. Okay, we're just going to solder orange on the top and red on the bottom. And I took the liberty of, it's not wire, but I don't know what it was. When you pull these through the board, make sure you tin these wires before you even attempt to stick them in, because if one little tiny fray comes out, you're going to be in big trouble, because there's going to be a short across there, because the clearance in between those two wires is so extremely small. So make sure you tin them before you stick them through, and you may need to drill that hole out one size bigger. So next we're just going to pull our brown ground wire down, and we're going to solder him right on here. And that'll take care of all the wiring. Now all we got to do is just take the front cover off. And there's a few other things that I didn't tell you about unless you watch the D5 video. So I'll let that be a secret for right now. Okay, so I cover all bases. So backing up just one step, bear with me. Make darn sure that your orange wire is on the top of that 111 marking on the board, and your red wire is on the bottom hole to that 111 marking on the board. Because if it is not, you are going to say goodbye to Mr. Q2 on your protection board, because he's going to be swamped with about 150 milliamps of current, and he's not going to handle 150. So he's going to be absolutely crying when this thing turns on. So make very certain that you have the orange and the red going the right way. Otherwise you're going to have a forward bias diode, and Q2 is not going to be happy about it. This 47 ohm up here will not be enough to keep this guy from burning up. So make sure you hook it up right if you do this. Okay, due to the essence of time, this is what I'm not going to go into because I don't want to become redundant. This is what I left out. You're going to have to modify this LED. This is a 2x5. You're going to have to make it a 1x5. And probably more to the point, if this runs anything like the D5 did, you're going to have to make it a little less than 1x5. Like say about 0.895 millimeters is what you're going to need to make this. And we are, let me get this zeroed. We're at 1.93, and I think 0.87 or 0.89, I think it was 0.89 was the magic number. So if you went through all the trouble to go this far, you'll go through all the trouble to modify this LED. And I'm not going into how to do that step by step. I'm sure everybody knows if you got an LED that's too big, what do? You get out the sandpaper. So this is the way I did it, and I didn't have any disasters. I didn't ruin the LED or anything. What I did was put the LED down on a flat surface, I think I started with like 220 grit at first, and then I just started pulling it with my fingertip across the sandpaper, flipped it over, pulled it again. I don't remember if I pulled or pushed it, because I started wondering, because I'm overly critical, I was wondering, you know, should I push this or pull it? But I think in the end, as funny as it seems, it didn't matter which way I pulled this damn LED, just as long as I got it sanded down. So I went through it with 220, and then I just kept measuring it and measuring it. And once I got it down a little bit closer, I went down to 400. I think I went to 800. And then I went to 1000 grit when I really got it honed in on the exact dimension. So all I did was just pull it, flip it, and if you want to get particular about it, you can count the number of pulls. But you know, when you start pulling and you get to the point at which the cathode here is exposed, that's the time to go to a lighter sandpaper. Didn't ruin the LED at all. It just started to expose the outermost portion of it, and had no effect on it really overall. So just to keep that in mind there. And then on the front face here, I don't know if this foam will even come out as easy as it did on the other one. Looks like this one might be glued a little bit better. Yeah, I didn't do a real nice job, but you know, I'm trying to finish up with this. Just trying to give you the gist of it so you can put all the pieces together. So we'll just have to snap that LED out, and I think literally it was snap it out on the last one. It depends how much epoxy or whatever they put on there. So just break that out of there, and then you'll be able to fit your new one into the hole. And it fit absolutely perfectly. I mean, it was so snug, pressing it into that hole, I didn't even have to glue it in, and it would have never came out. So if you're just kind of tedious about how you sand it, it'll go right in there, and it's absolutely perfect. It looks like it was put there from the factory, so don't be concerned that you're going to hog something up. So that's where we're at, and then we'll just take our wires out of the top here and bring them through this hole, and that'll go over our bicolor LED. Oops. And this will just slip over the bicolor, and that's all there is to it. So we'll just pause it from there.